Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great guest, a guest we've had before, Carl Schusterman, one of the well-known immigration attorneys in our community and in just the world when it comes to immigration lawyers and lawyers, one of the top AVA lawyers too, here to just talk about how 2020 was and recent events, just really open kind of forum. So Carl, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Thank you, John. My pleasure.
Awesome. So what's on your mind?
Well, it's funny that we're having this today. I mean, it was sort of unplanned what happened earlier today, but normally I do consultations with people, and then I have lawyers who I've worked with for years, and depending on whether it's employment-based or whether it's family-based or deportation, I give it to the lawyer who specializes in that particular area. But and I don't usually go to like adjustment of status interviews, things like that.
Yeah.
But today I did. My first time to do it, a virtual interview.
Oh, really?
And I did it this morning, and just all things just popped up in my mind that I probably should have thought about, when the pandemic started. But looking on the brighter side of this horrible pandemic that we're in. So I had a case, and these people had adjustment of status in downtown Los Angeles. I'm actually in Orange County now. We have a home in Orange County, but when we're finished with this Zoom meeting, we're going to be coming back to West Los Angeles again. But I didn't have to drive downtown, to attend the adjustment of status, and that was such a relief. I mean, just imagine driving from Orange County to downtown Los Angeles, standing in line, going through the metal detectors, then sitting in room 824 for the interview there, and going through all the rest of it. But instead, I just sat here on the phone. The examiner called me up, sat there on the phone, just interjected a couple of things. And the whole interview didn't take as long as a one-way drive from Orange County to downtown LA. So I thought, this is a great time savings, but I tend to talk to people all over the country and all over the world every day. And, I can see, if I was a potential client, I was in Atlanta or New York, even though my friends said, oh, go to Carl Schusterman or something like that, I would think, oh my God, to fly him out for my interview in Atlanta and all of this, it's going to be so expensive. And for me, it's going to be so time consuming. And now they let you do interviews remotely and represent your clients remotely. So it actually makes it a lot easier for us to represent clients all over the country than ever before.
I'm glad you let me know, because I didn't realize LA or our district had started yet, because I know some random parts of the country had, but it's good to know that they're doing it here. Were you already the attorney of record? Did you have a G28, or did they add you at the interview?
So sort of yes and no. When we took over this case about a year ago, I had my own law firm. We've since merged into a bigger law firm, and then three of our attorneys, my two attorneys who used to be my employees, I'm not exactly their employees, but I'm of counsel to them. They've started their own law firm, and I do consultations. And like I said, depending on what kind of case is, I give it to the attorney and their level of expertise. This particular case, though, was actually supposed to stay with that larger law firm that we had joined. But I won't get into the details, but it came back to me. And I basically did it for free, because I didn't want these people to be stranded and not have any lawyer go to their appointment. So I prepped them for the appointment, told them what, what questions were going to be asked, what type of paperwork to bring with them, how to dress, what time to get there, all of that type of stuff. And it was in room 8024 in downtown LA in the 300 Los Angeles Street. It was so funny because, when I worked for immigration in the 70s, I worked in 8010. That's where citizenship was, right next door to 8024. So, when I was describing it to these fellows, I could like visualize exactly where, you get off the elevator, you turn left, that kind of stuff. Then we had a examiner, and I told him, I said, he was saying, about how the process works now because of the pandemic. And I said, no apologies needed. I said, for years, I had to drive from West LA to go to downtown, park my car, do all of that every day. And now you're calling me, and I'm, I didn't tell him because it was on the phone, but I'm sitting here in my t-shirt and chair and having something to drink. And not only, did I not have to get in my car and dress up and go downtown, but on my computer, since it wasn't a Zoom call like we're having now. So I had my client's file there, which was several hundred pages, and I had it all mapped out on a piece of paper. So if he asked about this issue or that issue, I'd know how to scroll and get it real fast.
Yeah.
And then in the other part of this room, I won't turn the computer around, but I have a big laptop there. And I had another part of this case on that. So I could use one computer for like researching different parts of the law because, the examiners are not lawyers. So they don't always know, well, why, how does he qualify for this or that, So I had one thing about that. And then I had the other thing, which was all the forms and materials that we submitted for the interview. And I thought, if I were there in person, he wouldn't let me sit there with a computer on my lap and go through all of that.
Yeah.
So it's actually better representation for the client to be remote than it is to be sitting in the person's office. And it went very well today.
Good news. I sporadically hear on the listservs that some officers in various field offices won't call the attorney, or they'll say you have an option of having a translator or attorney. It seems like they're one-off kind of situations, and you should complain to the manager or something like that pops up. But overall, but like you said, having access to all that information at one time is really helpful because you can't do that in an interview. It's like you have 10 things on your lap and things are falling over. It's like you just have to kind of memorize what's going on in the case.
Yeah. So it was very personal. Even though I'm not seeing the guy's face and stuff, he had to go out to ask his boss something, and he tells my clients like, "Oh, you can converse," And I just made some joke. I said, "As soon as you get out of the office, we'll be talking," And he started laughing, and the case got approved. And I thought, "Oh, I really like this. Maybe we can go to, I want to get my vaccine and get this thing over with."
Yeah.
But it would be so much more efficient for the Immigration Service to just run their interviews like that instead of making everybody sit out there in the waiting room and so on. Because, the attorneys have to charge more too, because it takes a lot of time.